egg freezing has gotten a lot of bad rap. It's still a new technology. It's only been around about 10 years off experimental purposes, meaning that women who froze their egg 10 years ago, they have much poorer egg survival rates. They were older at the time. Their experience is very different than the modern woman who is freezing her eggs now, maybe in her upper 20s or early 30s.
What is the optimal age?
If you want to have a child as a life goal and you're not ready to conceive by age 32, that is when there's a clear delineation that it makes smarter financial sense as well as likelihood sense. The short answer, my daughter will freeze her eggs in her 20s. The younger you are, the more eggs that you have. If she says, I want to have kids as a life goal, then that will be something that we will do in order to help her keep that, because there's so many other variables which impact your ability to get pregnant or your egg count. Endometriosis decreases your egg count, right? People will develop an ovarian cyst and they'll have
surgery.
They'll have a twisting of their ovary and maybe they'll lose an ovary.
Smoking, chemo, radiation.
Smoking, marijuana,
any
chemo.
Abdominal surgery.
So many things can impact your eggs because you only have this group. You're born with them. So we plan for life goals differently, and we've never really talked about our fertility life goals until more recently. Meaning when we went professional career, right? We knew what we had to do to get into medical school, to get into residency, to get your PhD. You had this list of things and you set goals and you worked to achieve them. But I always wanted to be a mom, yet I already told you I took a birth control pill every single day and I didn't even think about it until that moment was in front of me. And that's the part of the discussion that we do have to start to have earlier is if this is a life goal for you, what do we need to do? Understand our body better, our fertility better, and maybe that does include freezing eggs because it does give many women an opportunity that time would eliminate.
I had a conversation with you, Natalie, on the podcast, but then many other women over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. And one of the things that I learned from that was that we, as you say, we don't family plan, and then we have to deal with the consequences of not family planning. So as an interviewer, when I do life story episodes, I go through a woman's life story, and obviously the women that sit in front of me are typically high performers, high achievers in some capacity. And then we arrive at the end of the conversation when we talk about family and kids and all those kinds of things, and there's often a lot of tears. And it was in those conversations, sitting here with several women that were on the show, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? It was the UFC fighter Ronda Rousey. It just so happened that when I interviewed her, she had just found out that her 7th round of IVF had failed. Mm-hmm. And so she was very, very emotional. I left that interview and had a conversation with my girlfriend. I was like, listen, I've seen too many women over the age of 35, maybe sort of under the age of 50, but really under the age of 45, in tears in front of me. I think we should have a conversation about this. Should we freeze our eggs? I mean, me and my partner are both 33 now.